In just a few more days, the story of Attack on Titan will end. 139 has already been finished by Isayama and is ready to show it to his audience that has been reading Attack on Titan for years, to finally see it end in this last chapter. Chapter 139 is going to put an end to all different theories showing us the real ending of this great story. But before it does come out, I'm going to predict what this chapter has in store for us, and this is obviously going to be the final prediction. When the last chapter comes, I'm going to do a video on it quickly and discuss the ending. Hopefully the ending will be at least good, but if it can be amazing, I'll really like that. So right before I dive into the predictions, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't, hit the like button, turn on bell notifications, and go follow my Twitter down below. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, one of the first things I'm thinking that will be in chapter 139 is the highly anticipated Eren perspective that we have all been waiting for a while. We haven't had one since chapter 131, and we all know that chapter was one of the best the series has to offer. So if this next chapter does have that POV, we'll know it's going to be a very interesting one. It could have all sorts of things from Eren's mindset so far, to how he is going to end this whole situation, to what he thinks about his friends at the moment, as we know that Jian and Connie have just been turned into Titans, and finally how he feels now as Mikasa has just cut off his head. I'm sure that Eren didn't actually turn his friends into Titans, but that wormy looking thing did. I don't think that Eren has got control over it because he had said in the past that he wants his friends to live long lives. Or it could just be that he values his freedom over everything else, including his own friends that had fought alongside him for years. This next POV could also reveal his intentions on how to resolve the problem he's facing with having a now decapitated head, and could also reveal more things that we hadn't seen yet. So another thing that could show up in the next chapter is the identity of the father of Historia's baby. Now this doesn't have to show up in Eren's perspective, as we still don't know if he's the father or not, but I still don't believe someone like that farmer would actually be the father. We could also switch to Historia's POV as well, giving us information on what had happened off screen and reveal that identity. If Eren is the father, then it could support the importance of the last panel that Isayama had drawn. I'm really hoping he doesn't change the last panel, as all of my theories on it would be for nothing if he does. But I do believe that Eren is the person in that final panel holding Historia's baby. The person in that panel says "you are free," which is obviously something that revolves around Eren's character. We'll find out why the baby is free in the next chapter though, and once again I really hope Isayama doesn't change that final panel. Another perspective that we can dive into in chapter 139 is Ymir's one. Why was she smiling at the end of chapter 138? What are her real intentions for the future, and how is her character going to conclude in the story? Also, why did Ymir go along with Eren's plan of destroying the whole world, yet she smiled as Eren had been decapitated? There's so many questions surrounding Ymir's character that needs to be answered. I'm thinking that this will all be somewhat answered in 139, as Ymir's character is really important to the ending of the series. Something else that I'm thinking that is connected to Ymir's character is the last panel in a way. A lot of people have said that Ymir but reborn is the baby in that panel, which is why the person is saying "you are free," and from this it could be obvious that Eren is the one telling her that. I really like to hope that this would be the outcome, as I feel like Ymir could have a good ending with that, since she was first a slave, then she became a titan to only be eaten by her own children later, then she was trapped in the Path's realm for over 1,000 years creating titans. It's a sad life Ymir has lived, and if she is reborn as that baby, she could start it again better with the freedom that she hadn't gotten before. So is Eren dead or not? Well, to be honest, if Eren did actually die in 138, then I'm not really that satisfied much. But if Isayama does continue his character in a way through his POV in chapter 139, then I would be satisfied. This isn't the first time Eren's head had left his body, so it's okay to think that Eren didn't die from that. If he still has that strong will for freedom, then he'll be able to regenerate quick enough, and remember, he has the founding titan. There could be much more to what he has shown us up to this point. But if he succumbs to the despair he has caused for the world he had crushed and doesn't have any goal within him, he won't be able to live from that. First, let's take the possibility that he did die. Then what? Could he end up taking Ymir's place in the past realm, being trapped in there for eternity? Or will he be able to die sadly, knowing that the cycle of hatred lives on in the world that hates Eldians? I feel like if he did end up dying, then he'll end up in the paths. Maybe he could somewhat interact with both Mikasa and Armin for the last time there, and pull off some final unexpected thing that will set the ending for Attack on Titan. That's what I think that would happen if he did physically die. If he lived though, then I can see him ending up like the person in the Akatsuki no Requiem theory. I made a video on that some time ago, so check it out if you want to see what I'm talking about. At the moment, I don't fully believe that theory will end up happening because of this current situation, but I'm not 100% sure that it won't happen. It's a cool theory to think about, but don't expect the story to actually end up that way. If the ending doesn't exactly go with the Akatsuki no Requiem flow, but Eren still lives, I can see it being similar to it, like how Eren will feel really guilty, sad, depressed, and all of that, so I'm not going to fully cross out that theory until we get full confirmation on Eren's current status. Now let's talk about how the story might end up concluding and how every character that is left will end up. We've spoken about Eren, but let's move on to another character like Reiner. How will Reiner end up at the conclusion of the story? Well, with Gabi being turned into a Titan in chapter 138, we can kind of predict that Reiner will actually make himself be eaten by her, to save Gabi and also give her the Armored Titan. I don't see Falco doing that, but Reiner instead, and I think it will be better if Reiner does it instead of Falco, as Falco and Gabi are the next generation, and ever since the Mali arc, Reiner has always thought about making sure the future generations will turn out better than the last. Annie might do the same thing for her father, but I don't 100% believe that at the moment. So for John and Connie, I can sadly see them ending up dying in their Titan forms. The last chapter we saw them understanding that it is the end for them, so I guess it was a nice conclusion for their characters as they were satisfied that they made it this far. For Levi, I don't think he'll end up dying but be one of the surviving people with Mikasa and Armin. Well, I'm not too sure on what will happen with Peak. Now for the rest of the world, I'm sure they'll live in fear of Paradise even more if the rumbling doesn't continue because of how much damage the rumbling had caused to the population. Some might even dare to go for revenge against Paradise for it, which is like what Eren had said in chapter 130. The cycle of hatred would not stop even if he used the rumbling on a small portion of the world, as some would vow revenge even more. So he believed he would need to crush it all for Paradise to be safe. Paradise would need a miracle to make the world understand that not all of them are devils towards the world, but that is only if Eren does actually die. So I think that's where I'm going to end it off for today. Hopefully you did enjoy, and if you did, make sure to comment down below some of your own predictions as well. Attack on Titan has been a great series from start to finish, and I'm sad to see it coming to an end very soon. But all good things must come to an end. Thank you so much for watching, and like always, subscribe if you're new, hit the like button, turn on bell notifications, and go follow my Twitter down below. It's been Endless Requiem. Peace.